Hello, I want to thank you for stopping by this video, and I want to assure you that this is a video that is hopefully going to enlighten you, and I have a story behind my my experiences with regards to hemorrhoids that I'd like to share with you. First of all, hemorrhoids has been kind of in my life since my probably my late teens, early 20s, and now I'm in my late 30s right now. So as you can imagine, it's been quite a journey from my early 20s, late teens, all the way to the latter part of my 30s. And having to deal with this sort of malady for so long, it's been so difficult for me that many times I found myself just completely beside myself as to what I should do next. I've had multiple surgeries. It all kind of started when I was younger, and I had moved down to southern Florida to be with my father, and he was not the most easy person to live with at that point in time. He had just gotten over his second divorce. I was this young punk kid that had moved into his house at 18 years old. I was kind of on his turf. He was in a bad state of mind, and you could go on and on with it. But the fact of the matter was that I really didn't have a lot of support down there. Even though Florida, southern Florida, I mean, just think about it. It's phenomenal. Beautiful weather, the beaches, the oceans, beautiful girls, beautiful guys, whatever. Just everything was great. But it wasn't great where I had lived with him. So the stress of having that lifestyle around me was very, very difficult for me, and I think that was kind of the beginning of it all for me. And I found that I had, over time, with a lot of the stress that I was getting, I found that I started getting hemorrhoids, and I would find, like an eruption, so to speak, in my bottom, where it would actually be kind of thrombosed, and it would be like a clot, and it would come out, and I would be so freaked out I wouldn't know what to do, and I would go to several doctors and have them lanced or cut, as a lot of people would say, just cut out. And I'd find that was such a, not only a demoralizing scenario for myself, I was very demoralized by it, very ashamed of it, and just didn't really want to share the experience with people, so it was kind of just between me and myself. And I think my father knew of it. Obviously, I had told him, but I didn't get a lot of support from him. He was very, very, it was like walking on eggshells living around this person. But to make a long story longer, I had basically struggled from that point on all the way to even last year, having another bout with a vein that had kind of been prolapsed, which is kind of a vein that seemingly kind of balloons out after a movement, and you can kind of see that it deflates after a while. Well, this thing didn't deflate, if that makes any sense, after a bowel movement, and it kind of stuck around just even last year. And so what had happened is that was, I think, a lot to do with a lot of sitting for too long and a little bit of stress also, because where I live now, there was a flood at that point in time. This was just last March in '09, and this is March of 10 I'm speaking to you. But between this last point, which was 37 years old, and all the way back to the 20s, I'd had several bouts of hemorrhoid issues, and one of the bouts was so bad. Actually, two were very bad. One, I literally had to go to a doctor here in town and have him basically give me two options. It was so bad. I mean, it was just protruding from my bottom so bad, and it was so tight, and there was so much pain, that he gave me two options. He said, you can either wait and see if it goes down, because he didn't know if it would, or I can take care of it for you. I said, take care of it for me. This was the first major surgery I'd had. It was the worst experience I'd ever had in my entire life. This guy used a scalpel the entire time. My bottom was taped open. Unfortunately for me, it was a very, very crazy experience. I went out of there, and I swear that night I went to bed, and I didn't know if I was going to wake up. I was bleeding so much. So if you can imagine, these surgeries that you can go through for hemorrhoids can be quite debilitating, mentally exhausting, and very, very demoralizing. I woke up the next day. The bleeding had subsided, but I do remember that night going to bed not knowing if I would wake up because that's how much blood was coming out of my body. I had another incident in the early 2000s where I had another bout. Well, I had 2 clots, not one, in one vein, and it literally was like 2 for the price of 1. It was horrible. It was so tight and so bad that I had to go to Phoenix and I would recommend them right now. I had to go to a Phoenix laser hemorrhoid laser surgery clinic in Phoenix, and thankfully it was much less blood, it was much less pain, but nonetheless it was more expensive. I think I was up maybe $1,000 or $2,000 between the surgery and plane tickets and all that stuff, and I did it in a 24-hour cycle. So that was a really bad deal. But the most recent situation that I had was the most recent situation I had was last year, and I had stumbled upon a page where a friend of mine had wrote about his experiences, and I didn't even know about it. So I went to the page, and he wrote about them. And it was very similar to my situation. Came from the same area as me. I knew of him for some time, but I didn't know he had gone through the same situation as I had. And I came across a product at the bottom where he had promoted it, and I spoke with him about it, and he had mentioned that it was something that had really, really helped him, but it wasn't anything to do with surgery. It wasn't anything to do with any sort of invasive procedures or any like crazy Chinese medicine or anything like that. It was amazing. So I said, well, what had happened? He said he had seen results within 48 hours to 72 hours after he had read the book and took some of the proactive steps therein. I did the exact same thing. I got the book last spring, and it was one of the best things I ever did. I wish I would have found this book or knew of these tactics way back when in my 20s and through those surgeries and so on and so forth. I would have given it a much, much, much better chance to resolve within itself, and I wouldn't have had any subsequent issues, I don't believe, because of just some of the proactive steps I could have taken even back then. So that was very eye-opening. But with regards to actual, why hemorrhoids actually occur, I'll give you just kind of a brief rundown. I'm sure you kind of know of most of them, but if you have any of these things, this is kind of pertaining to you. Stress. This was huge for me. I had a huge factor in my own experiences, obviously sitting for too long, even standing for too long. High blood pressure, not enough water in the blood. That was a big thing for me. I think I got dehydrated quite a bit in some of the hotter climates, and even in the summers where I live now. I think I find myself getting dehydrated too quickly, and that is a big, big, big problem. So you got to keep a lot of water in your blood if you can, especially in the warmer seasons and the warmer climates. As I said, living in the southern area of the U.S. can get very hot. You get dehydration issues. I was very shameful about it. As I said, I couldn't speak about it. I know I just couldn't even believe that this was occurring to me on a consistent basis, and I knew I had to get to the bottom of it. Thankfully, last year I did. But the journey was a long journey, and if you're in the beginning of a journey with this, I can't stress the fact that there's a product out there that will guarantee assist you and completely eliminate the scenario that you're in right now, if you give it an opportunity